Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the new secondary weapon, the AkMagnus Prime. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits, meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframes using abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. I just test the weapon built out by itself, and I let the viewer make their own intelligent conclusions about what would happen if you add those external things. All right, so the AkMagnus Prime, or the AkMagnus, I don't know how you're supposed to say it, but this is a new weapon that was kind of like secretly added in, like right before the Barrow Relay was gone, although it wasn't technically from the Barrow Relay. It was from the regular Barrow that came on the last weekend of the Barrow Relay. So it was from regular Barrow last weekend, and it was hidden in a new relic. So if you didn't know that that relic was brand new and you didn't see the AkMagnus there, you wouldn't have really known that this was added to the game. And in fact, I didn't know it until like a few hours before it left. I like quickly grabbed up 15 of the relics and I ran them all, and on the 15th one I finally got the link, which was the last piece I needed. So I had the exact amount of relics to get this. So not everyone's going to have this, unfortunately, because of how it was added. But hopefully maybe DE will understand that it was kind of like shitty how they added this, or like they didn't really let anyone know. And maybe they'll release it again, possibly. Or at least have, you know, an option to get that relic again, maybe. So yeah, we'll do a build on this today. We have the top commenter from the last video, which is B1 It's Boy 9, and the first commenter of the last video, which is Tehi Raniha. I think that's how you say it. Sounds good to me. All right, let's get into the AkMagnus here. Okay, so you guys probably know the regular Magnus because it's a pretty common prime weapon. It's a big heavy pistol. And now with the AkMagnus, you get two big heavy pistols. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's go in here. All right, interesting things about the AkMagnus. Not too many interesting things. It's pretty normal, except for a unique ability on it. So if we look at this unique trait, hits have a 4% chance to grant 100% ammo efficiency for 4 seconds. Now, that's not necessarily all of it. You need to actually do a little bit of research to figure out exactly like what this is. So it's hits and status ticks. Okay, so hits and status ticks will trigger that 4%. So immediately, the first thing that came to my mind was gas, because the gas is going to be the best combo for this weapon to trigger this unique trait. Because gas persists on enemy death, it's going to keep ticking, you're going to kill other enemies, they're going to die, they're going to start gas ticking. And when I did my tests with gas, I only had to reload my weapon like 5 times in 5 minutes. It was like 1 time every minute I had to reload my weapon. It was crazy. So gas is the obvious choice with the AkMagnus if you want to trigger the unique trait like extremely often. Now I don't have gas in my build, and that's because I did a lot of testing with a few different setups. The gas setup was still extremely good, and it was very close to the other ones. So let me go over the unique traits real quick, and then we'll go over the testing. So, you know, we went over this right here. The other unique things about the weapon is that it's a high impact weapon, but it's not forced impact. So things like hemorrhage, I think it's hemorrhage, right? Yeah, hemorrhage won't really be too great, especially since it has a higher fire rate too. It doesn't normally have punch through. So we're going to be putting punch through on it with semi-pistol cannonade. This allows non-automatic secondary weapons to get punch through, but it locks in your fire rate, so you can't increase or decrease your fire rate. So in some cases this actually helps because we're using creeping bullseye, which gives us negative fire rate, but that negative fire rate doesn't actually come into play because of semi-pistol cannonade. All right, enough of the mods. Let's go back real quick into the testing. So I tested, let me pull up my data here that I have. Here we go. Okay, so this is the AkMagnus Prime, kill counts for 5-minute runs. I tested this on Steel Path. It was a pure Grenier map. I want to say it was Draco, but I can't remember exactly what map it was. It was a pure Grenier map because I wasn't really testing anything that was affected by Grineer. Kuva Grineer would have had a resistance to heat, but I didn't do Kuva Grineer. It was pure Grineer. So anyway, Viral and Heat in its runs got 461, 501, 484 for a total in 3 runs of 1,446. Gas and Electric got 629, 456, and 437 for a total in 3 runs of 1,522. There is a gigantic outlier there. You see that 629 is almost 200 kills over the other two there. That first Gas Electric run, when I do these tests, I always try to find a tile set that has 2 to 3 entry points, and I just hold that tile set. Well, that first run for Gas and Electric had 2 entry points, and it was a tight hallway, so that's why it got so many kills. And that's true for Gas and Electric and also for Blast. They can do extremely well if you can find tight spaces, or if you have a Warframe that has a grouping ability. So, you see there's big disparities there with the Gas, 629, then all of a sudden it's like in the mid 400s. So anyway, let's go over Blast real quick. So Blast got 440, 442, and 391 in its 3 runs for a total of 1,273. So Gas and Electric and Blast are kind of like the 2 AoE setups. The interesting thing with Blast is that you actually don't need 3 mods to make Blast. You only need 2. So Gas and Electric, you need 2 mods to make Gas and then 1 for Electric. Viral Heat, same thing. You need 2 to make Viral and 1 for Heat. But Blast, you only have to use 2 mod slots, and you kind of have an extra mod slot. In my testing, I just put another Heat mod there because I didn't want to change it too much when I was comparing it to the others. But if you were to use Blast, you do have an extra mod slot. So that's an extra slot, to just plop a Riven maybe, or you could mess with maybe another one of the smaller crit mods. But Blast did the worst. Gas and Electric did the best, but it did the best because of that one huge outlier. If you look at the other numbers, they're lower than the Viral Heat. So Viral Heat is going to be your most consistent choice for this weapon. This weapon is going to be the most consistent. It's going to feel good all the time, whether you have a single enemy in front of you or multiple enemies in front of you with Viral and Heat. However, Gas and Electric has the best potential with this weapon if you have a Warframe that can group enemies. Or if you have some kind of grouping ability. Maybe you're using that pet Nautilus that has a grouping ability. So Viral Heat, most consistent. Gas Electric, most potential with grouping abilities. All right, let's go back to regular gameplay here. All right, then we're going to go back into the build here. So I'm going to go with the consistent setup of Viral Heat. It's always going to feel good all the time. And it's just because I don't mix my builds with externals. But if you do mix it with externals, as you're going to do in normal gameplay anyway, and you have a grouping ability, check out that Gas Electric. Really powerful. All right. And it's going to be the same build minus these 3, right? These 3 are the only thing that changes on both builds. So instead of Viral and then Heat, you put Gas and then Electric here. Okay. So we're going to have Viral Diffusion for multi-shot. We're going to have Galvanized Crosshairs for critical chance. We're going to have Creeping Bullseye for critical chance. We're going to have Prime Target Cracker for critical damage. Semi-Pistol Cannonade is going to give us 300% flat damage and 1.5 punch through. Now, punch through is an interesting stat that a lot of people undervalue. The entire reason why single target secondary weapons are non-competitive in the game is because they don't have punch through. When they added Semi-Pistol Cannonade into the game, now you have weapons that are finally competitive with certain AoE weapons and certain other powerful weapons in the game. And so, it just looks like 1.5 punch through. Oh, it's probably not too much. That increases your kill potential by a gigantic amount. Not only that, but it's going to be helping this weapon because you're going to be punching through enemies, applying fire procs on multiple things. Things are going to be ticking. And again, damage ticks also have that 4% chance to grant 100 ammo efficiency. It's not just hits, it's damage ticks as well. All right, Pistol Pestilence and Frostbite are going to be our 260/60s to make Viral. And then we're going to have primed heated charge for our heat mod. Then in the Exilis, we're going to go with steady hands to reduce recoil. There's not really any better Exilis mod here. And then in the Arcane, there are 2 options. And there's actually a third option, but I don't believe the third option is the best. So there's, let me look at Flare real quick, and that's going to be the one that I don't believe is the best here. Cascadia Flare. It's a bigger number, right? Secondary Deadhead and Secondary Merciless are 360% flat damage. Cascadia Flare is 480. You know, bigger number should be better, but it's not necessarily better because we already have 660% flat damage. So what does Cascadia Flare give us compared to those two? It gives us an extra 120% flat. That's not great when we already have 680 or 660. So Secondary Deadhead and Secondary Merciless have extra things. So if we look at those guys here, let me... here, Secondary Deadhead. Okay, 360 flat, but then we also get 30 headshot multiplier. We get some weapon recoil too, but we already have negative weapon recoil with our steady shot, steady aim for the Exilis. So with Secondary Deadhead, we get that headshot multiplier. And with Secondary Merciless, where is that one? Oh my goodness, Salt. Find this thing. It's probably like right in front of my face. Oh, it's right there, equipped. Secondary Merciless, we get 30 reload speed. So you have to figure out, what do you value? Do you value 30 reload speed, 30% headshot multiplier, or 120 flat when you already have 660 flat? I think the flat I'm going to value the least. That's why Cascadia Flare I'm putting on the back burner. I'm not worried about Cascadia Flare. So I have to figure out, do I value that 30 reload or do I value the 30 headshot? And that's a hard question. With the gas and electric build, if you choose to go gas and electric, you're almost never going to reload because you're going to be ticking like crazy with gas clouds all over the place. So I think if you went gas and electric, Secondary Deadhead is an easy choice over Merciless. But with the viral heat build, you are going to be reloading. You're going to get a lot of free bullets. Like you are going to get that proc that comes off pretty often, but it's not going to be as often as gas. And so I think for the viral heat, I value reload speed a little bit higher. But Secondary Deadhead is still a possible choice. So I'm going to go Merciless, but you could also easily go Deadhead there. And yeah, that's it for the AkMagnus build. Let me just double check here. Magnus. Yeah, there's no augments for it. I was like, oh, maybe there might be an augment that I'm missing here. No, there's no augments for it. Okay. Yep. So that's the AkMagnus build there. So what we're going to do is we're going to test this on 10 minutes of Mott. I'm not going to mix this with any kind of external, so I always will do this on a big dumb Inaros with no Archon shards that increase weapon performance. No mods or arcanes on the Inaros that increase weapon performance. And with a pet with no sentinel weapon and no mods on the pet that increase weapon performance. Alrighty. Let's get into, make sure my Magnus is in the right build, right? It's got viral heat. Yeah, it does. Okay. Now we'll check this bad boy out on Mott.
Deserve your respect. Honor them with quick deaths, and I with your victory.
Life support has been cut off. They're trying to choke you out. Hold on. I'm sending auxiliary life support.
That's pretty much it. You're just going to aim head height and just kind of get the slaying. And you'll eventually have to reload when you don't get enough of your little procs coming off. But punch through is going to help with that because things you're punching through are also getting fire damage applied to them. We haven't had to reload yet. There we go. First reload. So punch through is a stat that is wildly powerful on secondary weapons and also shotguns. So secondary weapons and shotguns, if they are single target weapons or like weapons that don't have like an 8 punch through or an AoE effect, they are extremely neutered by not having punch through. So as soon as you can give them punch through, oh my goodness, they become so much better. So don't undervalue punch through. Now, because this weapon is not an auto pistol, I can use semi pistol cannonade. If this was an auto pistol, unfortunately, you can't use that. So you're stuck with trying to get punch through on a ribbon with auto pistols, unfortunately. I wish they would eventually add a better punch through mod for pistols. Like, there's a mod that gives you punch through, but like that's pretty much all it gives you for pistols. You need to have punch through and something else for it to be worth it. Like this one, you know, semi-pistol cannonade gives you flat damage. So like, yeah, that's worth using it then. The way this kind of compares to the regular Magnus Prime, the single Magnus Prime, it's like a lot of the AK weapons or AK weapons. They are better in almost every way except for accuracy. It's going to be a little bit less accurate than the single AK, or not the single AkMagnus, the single Magnus Prime. So this will be pretty much a straight up upgrade to the Magnus. When we did the Viper Wraith and the Twin Vipers Wraith, there was a little bit of a difference there because the single Viper actually had an augment that it could use that the Twin Vipers couldn't. So even though the Twin Viper stats were like better than the single Vipers, there was still a reason to use a single Viper because it had a pretty good augment for it. In this case, not so much, right? Like the Magnus doesn't have any augments for it. If you do decide to go secondary Deadhead instead of secondary Merciless and you get that negative recoil, there is one Eggsless mod, I believe. I'm gonna kind of guess here because it could be for like not pistols. It could be like for primaries, but I'm pretty sure it's for pistols. That could beat out Steady Hands. Now it won't beat out Steady Hands if you don't use secondary Deadhead. But if you use secondary Deadhead and you already have negative weapon recoil, there's a mod that increases your accuracy when you hit something. And that could be pretty decent with the AkMagnus, because the accuracy is kind of meh. But I would only use that if you're using secondary Deadhead and not secondary Merciless.
My brothers, did I not tell of this day? Did I not prophesize this moment? That will not happen again.
And we got the Acolyte down. Yeah, Gas Electric and honestly even Blast felt really good. I know Blast like didn't score super well, but it still felt pretty damn good. Like it just got like 100 less kills than the others, or I think 200 less kills than Gas maybe. But it still felt very good. If you had a way to group enemies up, try out Gas and Electric, or even Blast. If you have a way to maybe like boost Blast up, if you could have. You know, I think Blast would beat Gas Electric if you can mix it with Viral. Like, I wish you could find an easy way to mix Blast with Viral, like, without having to use Nourish as your subsume. But that's pretty much, like, the only way I could think of. I know there's certain weapons in the game that actually you get Viral, like, for free, and then you can put Blast on. Or you get Blast for free, and then you can put Viral on. But, like, Blast is either good by itself or it's good with Viral, but there's not really a good way to mix it with Viral without having to use a whole subsume. But even by itself, Blast is very strong. It just, in this weapon's case, it did not beat out the other two element tests that we did. So we're at 1,900 subscribers. We're getting pretty damn close to 2,000. I'm super excited. You know, it's hard out here competing with some of these other people. You know, there's corn stars that are now having YouTube channels and playing games horribly, by the way. They don't play games very well. Not like I do, you know. So to compete with those corn stars at 2,000 subs, I'm going to start doing transparent lingerie try-on hauls for you guys. All right? I know you guys are excited about that. Let me get some life support before I forget it. I didn't want to reveal that, though. You know, I didn't want the channel to blow up too quickly, so I didn't want to say that like too early on. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. Transparent lingerie try-on hauls. I'm expecting to get 100,000 subs probably in a week from that. As I've said before, definitely the most attractive player in Warframe. Definitely. All right, 2 minutes left, and then we'll see what the AkMagnus gets to. For Riven stats on this weapon, you want to get... let me think. Probably the normal. Probably like crit chance, crit damage, multi-shot. Probably on this specific weapon, you want to value multi-shot the most because more multi-shot means more chance to proc those 4% thingies. So crit chance, crit damage, multi-shot, valuing multi-shot the most. Or... if you really didn't want to use semi-pistol cannonade, you would need to get punch through on your Riven. That's the only way that you don't use semi-pistol cannonade, is if you have a Riven with punch through. If you don't have a Riven with punch through and you're not using semi-pistol cannonade, you're hurting your weapon. But if you have a Riven with punch through, you could get rid of semi-pistol cannonade. And in that case, you do have to start considering Cascadia Flare. Because then you're not going to be at 660 flat. You're going to be at 360 flat, which is still kind of enough. But if you want 480 at that point, you know, it might be more worth it than putting 120 on top of 660. Know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. Oh my goodness, Mania is whooping my ass. Leave me alone. Trying to get these kill numbers up, Mania. We got to get this higher on the tier list when we do it. You're screwing this up. Oh my goodness. Got 2 seconds. Get some kills here. All right. We're done. 10 minutes, 773 kills. That's pretty decent. Even with Mania kicking her ass there. Top. 773. 10 minutes. Pretty decent. Gas and electric has the potential to beat viral, but you need to have that external. So if you have an external to group, you could consider gas electric. Without that external, do viral heat instead. The other thing to know is that anytime a build has viral heat, you could also, or anytime a build has viral, like just in general, if it has viral, you could also just substitute corrosive. Viral and corrosive are so close in how they work that you could just substitute viral for corrosive. Viral will be better on most things over corrosive by a little bit, except for Pure Grenier and Murmur. On Pure Grenier and Murmur, Corrosive will be slightly better than Viral. So they work almost exactly the same. Alrighty, that was the AkMagnus. For everyone that was lucky enough to get this weapon or realized it was even in the thing, this will be the build for you. And for the people that didn't get this weapon or didn't realize that it was like even in the game, just keep a lookout, because I have a feeling that like people will maybe like complain to DE and they'll have it like available again soon. I'm not really sure, but I have a feeling, right? Because I think it was kind of crappy that a lot of people just didn't even know it was in there. So, okay, that's everything, guys. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing, or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. Remember, we're 100 subs away from that transparent lingerie try-on haul. I know you guys are excited. All right, you guys have a good day. Bye.